You know what, this week the department was tossing around a lot of money, including $737 million to a company with ties to House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi's brother-in-law. And that has George Jarkesy shaking his head. He's with us now. George, we have much more still ahead, but we're going to be talking to you. George, here's the issue. What do you make of the fact that the money seems to be flying out the door to a still unproven technology that many people really in this country really wanted to work? But you remember Jimmy Carter talked about it in late 1979 when he wanted to start a solar bank. We've been talking about it for decades. What do you make of all this?
Well, I think you have to separate the various projects. You have to separate Cylinder from SolarReserve. The SolarReserve project does have economic merit, but the thing is, and my big concern here, through all this, we're missing the point. The point is stimulus is to create jobs. And that's what we're missing here. We are creating jobs that cost $200,000, $300,000 per job. This $737 million on SolarReserve, which is a good project, right? You could have done seven natural gas, 7 times as much power. You could have generated 7 times as much power with the same dollars that you're generating the power on SolarReserve. But if you take that situation with SolarReserve, you have a situation where they have no economic value when you're looking for jobs. There are 52 jobs being generated on that SolarReserve deal. 900 economic jobs for construction immediately, but long-term jobs, only 52 jobs. So you got $737 million generating 52 jobs, and that doesn't make economic sense.
Well, they're also talking, though, about construction. I hear what you're saying. They're also talking about hundreds of potentially of construction jobs, and the DOE says, potentially 66,000 jobs created or saved. There's no way to fact check or, quantify or even prove those numbers, whether or not they're correct. But here's the issue. Or is the U.S. government going at it all wrong, George? Is it that it should be just funding the research and not funding companies, right?
Well, sure. You've got research that should be funded we could be better. We're not going to compete with the Chinese on manufacturing solar panels like in the Cylinder scenario. We need to be better, smarter, faster on technology. We have almost 40% of the world's coal reserves. We should be doing more with clean coal. We have good natural gas resources. And like I said, you could have built 7 times the amount of power production that they did with the same money that you did with SolarReserve. So it was not a good use of funds, and it was not a big job creator if you look at the long-term effects of what natural gas would have done or what coal-fired would have done. And so it was not a good use of money at a time we really need to be watching money.
And George, you make a good point, too. I mean, solar takes a lot of water to make solar panels. And also, in China, there's a lot of environmental pollution from making their solar panels on the cheap, right?
Yeah, and here's the thing is, everybody's talking solar, solar, and I love solar. I'm an Eagle Scout. I love the environment. But the bottom line is, it creates less than 1% of the power in the country, right? So we're not paying attention to the things that are really keeping our lights on, and we're spending time and money and effort. And I like the fact that Dr. Stephen Chu is doing this. I like us, but we should be doing it in the laboratories where we're coming up with it better. Okay. We should be doing it at a time when our country has the economic wherewithal to handle projects that are a little bit on the fringe. I mean, we're doing champagne projects on a beer budget pocketbook.
All right. George Jarkesy, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it, sir.
Thank you, Liz.
We have much more still ahead. Don't go away.